Alright, so today I'm going to do a run of DQ3 on the English patch. I'm probably going to try to give some commentary during the run. I might use this video as a submission for questing for glory. I want to submit DQ3, and it's a little bit on the fence right now as to whether anyone else is going to submit also for a race, or if I'm going to submit English patch as a solo run. I'm leaning towards doing the solo run, so I'm a little bit tired. I'm going to try to give this some good commentary. If it's a huge blow up, I might redo it. I've got a couple days for the submissions. But yeah. Let's just see what happens. I normally play this game on Japanese, so actually I need notes. Silly as that seems. For the personality test. Because I'm used to the personality test in Japanese. Okay. We have notes. So, this is Dragon Quest III for the Super Famicom, running the English translation patch. This game is run with JRTA, which means timing starts at console power on and ends at the end of the credits. So I'm going to reset the console to start my timer, and then we'll jump into the run. So we get a little bit of an extra splash screen there because I want to name something. Name myself Hack. Yeah, so during a marathon type submission, I would open this up to naming incentives. So there are... Oh, ignore the splash screen. So there are 5 different characters that we need for this run. The hero, a dealer, a soldier, a mage, and a thief. Victory only achieved. So there are 5 options for this personality test here. 5 sets of questions that they can start on, I should specify. And depending on how you answer them, you'll get a different dream sequence here. The one that we want for the speedrun is to result in a lazy hero. So the lazy hero both has the fastest dream sequence, which is one of the biggest advantages for it, and it also gives the hero more stamina growth, which will be useful for the end game. We're going to have to make an entire party full of characters, and that's generally how we're going to set them all up, is to get them the stats that they need for the end game. Some stats like strength can be useful to make things go a little bit faster. So in this case, Lazy also has pretty decent strength. There is a different personality for the hero, Brave or Valiant, that gives better strength but has poor hit points. That is RTA viable, but much scarier. But in general, the priority is to make sure that the entire party has personalities to get them as much hit points as possible for the end of the game. Because like most RPG speedruns, we'll be ending at a lower level than normal. So, you wake up, your mom tells you it's your 16th birthday, and so you need to go talk to the king. So she brings you over to the castle. And you come up and talk to the king. The king's going to tell you about how you are the son of the hero Ortega, who fell into a volcano on his quest to defeat the demon Baramos. And since you are his son, it is your duty to take over his quest. Go fight Baramos. So the king gives you a little bit of gold and some items. 50 gold. How nice of him. And tells you that you can recruit allies at Ruida's Tavern. Hello, Shadow Killer. So this will be where we create the rest of the party that we needed for the speedrun. So I'll give all these characters some names. Normally I would do the dealer first, but normally you make characters in reverse order, but I'm not going to do that on the English patch. So we're going to name our soldier Darko. And then they tell you that you can get some bonus seeds to allocate how you choose here. And we want them all to go into stamina on a minimum of 19, as well as getting the tough guy personality, which is a 50-50. We got Iron Man, so we need to redo this. So the party's going to be made of the sub-3 club. So our next character is going to be the Thief. We'll name our Thief Clear Tonic. Probably just name him Tonic, actually. It's shorter. Tonic. Thief gets to be a female. Try to do this right here. We need a minimum of 16 stamina for the Thief. We don't really care about the personality. We got 21. It's very good. We need a Mage. Mage is going to be the one and only Sumdi. We want 15 stamina, as well as either the Iron Man or Tough Guy personality. We got Tough, which is great. And then, since Shadow Killer's here, SK will get to have an honorary mention. He's not in the sub-3 club, but he gets to be our dealer, who will trade away later in the game. But oops, I didn't want to say yes. Alright, so our party's made. So now I need to withdraw. This withdraw menu is a little different on English, so that's why I made the team in the correct order, rather than in reverse order. Normally this shows more characters per tab. I'm going to distribute some some items. The text of giving items around is very slow in the English patch. So we had a pretty quick character creation, except for the naming the characters part, and it's still over 6 minutes leaving Aliahan, which is about, a good minute slower than what we'd like to see on Japanese. But battle text is still very quick. Nice crit. Kaishin no Ichigeki. It's the traditional exclamation for the crit. It's what it says in Japanese when you get a crit. It's terrific move or excellent move or something like that. Kaishin didn't kill the slime. Yeah, that too. So I'll be exclaiming that a few times throughout the run. So we're going to sell all the junk that we picked up at the start, some of the stuff the king gave us, and use it to buy some medical herbs and chimera wings. These menus are a little bit weird in English. Just a little bit, the text is a lot slower, so muscle memory and timing a little bit off. But it's fine. So, we've got some consumables. The first objective of the game is to go get the Thief's Key from this tower. So, like many DQ games, there are many keys that we'll find throughout the run which will be used to open certain types of doors, and the Thief Key is the first required key. And you get it pretty much right off the bat. Hey, First World. Thanks for the good luck. Yep, playing on English today. So, because of the extreme stamina that we gave our party members during character creation, we get a lot of hit points at level 2. So, I talked about personalities a little bit earlier. The personalities are used to affect kind of your growth throughout the run, but at a given level, your hit points are going to be based on your stamina. Yeah, that's kind of the idea, SK, is that this is going to be like a submission type video. I'm gonna reorder our party here. Normally I would heal with an herb, but instead I'm going to take the inn. Kind of just works out. Mage had pretty good MP. I would never take this in a PB attempt or anything, but it's pretty quick. So I was talking about hit points. So personalities give you percentage modifications to how much your class would gain at a given level. And at a given level, once you level up, your hit points and MP are based on your current stamina and wisdom. So, if you apply a stamina seed, it'll apply at the next level, or, yeah, and the stamina will add up kind of over time from the personalities, but the hero we didn't get to put stats in, so the hero gets a pretty plain level up, but all the other party members should have very good hit points now. The goal here is just really to get level 2. You can opt to get level 3 on a couple characters for a little bit of extra safety. This fight is one that you don't take. The moths cast Surround, which reduces your chance to hit. Kind of a big part of this speedrun is going to be encounter handling and knowing what certain enemies do and how to... what spells to use and how to adjust your targeting. That fight's not too bad, but it's a little on the slow side. There'll be better fights outside if we want level 3. So we get to the top of the tower. This old man here will give us the Thief's Key. Tells you about books that can change your personality. We'll be using one of those for our thief. So, Chimera Wings, for anyone who doesn't play DQ, would be, are used to transport to towns that you've already been to. So it's a good way to get back to town, and we'll also use them even from inside town to leave town more quickly. So the Thief's Key gets us into this house, and this guy will give us the magic ball, Maho no Tama, which we need to progress. But yeah, I mean, feel free to still chat or whatever. I'm explaining stuff because this will probably be a submission video, but I don't expect to just be talking to myself for 3.5 hours. I hope. You were never the same after reading Twilight. Funny. So a lot of this run is also going to be running away. So you can see that One thing worth noting here, the slimes. You can see they had a couple of different animations. Enemies in this have different animations when they have different attacks, so the slime splash animation can poison you. Whereas the one where he bunches up like that right there will not poison you. Sort of one of the cool things about this, it could also be different animations for crits or spells versus not spells. And yeah, so a big part of the run is going to be encounter handling, especially the grind segment, especially the dark world in the second half. But a lot of the run is also going to be running away from encounters, and so early on you can kind of pick and choose what you run from versus what you fight. And yeah, so running away in this game is one of the harshest of all of the Dragon Quest games, or at least all of the older Dragon Quest games. So your run chance in this game, the first time you try to run away from a fight, is 25%. If you fail, the next time is 50%, then 75%, and then the fourth try you're guaranteed to run. But it's worth noting because a lot of early Dragon Quest games are 50-50, 75-100, and this game is only 25 on the first attempt. And this game certainly makes you feel that 25%. So we won't be fighting anything in this cave. Almost all the enemies here are pretty scary. There are a couple things that you can fight, a single caterpillar or 2 bunnies if you need the XP, but we don't. So those anteaters will focus down one target. All of them will always attack the same one. So, unfortunately, somebody's going to take a little bit of a nap. We'll get him back up soon. Also, when you try to run in this game, not every enemy is guaranteed to take an action. It's guaranteed that at least one enemy will, but that's it. Had a pretty clean first floor with only that one encounter. Even though we lost our mage. So this gets us to kind of one of the main continents of the game, and the city of Romilly. So the story of the city of Romilly is that you find that somebody's stolen the king's crown. The king wants it back. But we're gonna kind of ignore that at the moment. So like a lot of DQ games, kind of every town has its own set of things going on, and so you kind of hop between different towns, solving their problems, and eventually it all will kind of culminate in, you know, the main storyline. So I could opt to buy some safety gear here, and maybe in an actual marathon run I would consider doing that. It doesn't really increase your chance of getting to the pyramid that much, but it does help a little bit. So what we're gonna do instead of getting the king's crown back is we're gonna take a side trip to the magic pyramid, which will get us some loot that we'll be using to make ourselves much stronger than we should be at this point in the game. Hello, Airkix. Thank you for the good luck. So the pyramid is very dangerous at these levels. Getting to the pyramid is very dangerous. Sort of everything we run into is going to be terrifying. So there's a very good chance of wiping out here. We'll stop in the city of Asalam here, and it's a place we can return to if we do die. Get a nice triple run fail. That's very bad. Thankfully we have a ton of herbs, we haven't really used many. Thanks in part to taking that inn in the Thieves' Tower earlier. So we're going to hop into the inn, we're going to grab a poison moth powder, and we're going to sell this so that way we can buy a fur hood for our thief. So the cost of resurrection in this game is level squared rounded up to the nearest 10. So level 3 and below cost 10 gold per character to level up, so it's pretty cheap. If we wipe out, we'll lose half of our gold on our person. So a lot of times we hold on to items that we could sell until we need to sell them to not risk the money. So the hero's sword, for example, we're not going to be fighting anything here, we're not strong enough. So that's something that can be sold for money, but we're going to hold on to that unless we need to revive. Unless we wipe out and need to revive. Or we'll sell it after the pyramid. Hero's dead. If we lose more than one person, I will actually go to Isis first and revive. Actually, maybe I should just do that anyway. Let's just do that anyway. If we make it there. So if you walk in a way that you don't waste any steps... Ooh, ambush. That's very bad. This could be a wipe. Well, crit by the mummy. Definitely going to Isis now. So if you walk correctly, you can kind of get here with without messing up your time of day. You need it to be nighttime when you get the magic key. So that way... Oh, I don't have enough money. And the shops aren't open. This could actually be a problem. I forget, is there backup gold anywhere in here? I should, Oh, that's a small medal. I don't think there is. Well... okay, something to keep in mind. We're just gonna go with 3. We got a return point. It's fine. If we wipe, we'll come back. Yeah, I should have made sure I had 20 gold. So we need it to be nighttime because the idea is we're coming to this pyramid way earlier than we should, like I said earlier. And we get the magic key in here, which allows us to open even more doors, including some that have very valuable chests behind them. And some of those chests are in Isis, but you can only get to them during the nighttime. I should have revived my my warrior if I was only going to do one character, but I wasn't thinking. It's because he's got more hit points. So there's a little puzzle here we need to solve. On average, you'll get 2 encounters in this floor, but 1 is possible, and I've seen as many as like 4 or 5. Nice first try run there. So, once you complete all of them, the door stays open. So this is the 4th one. So even if we wipe before getting the key or whatever, this door will still be open when we come back, which is nice. You may see me stepping on the stairs like that. So in this game, every time you load an area, the game generates a depletion value. And counts down from that to 0, and on 0 you get an encounter. And so stepping on those stairs resets your encounter depletion, getting us many encounters less than we otherwise would, and we'll be using that technique throughout the entire run. Hello, Rotoast. What is this? This is DQ3 English patch, which I am possibly going to submit to the Questing for Glory Marathon. So Questing for Glory this year is actually going to raise money for charity for NAMI, sort of in the place of Limit Break, since that didn't happen and they chose not to do an online event. So hopefully here we can get back to ISIS before it fully turns day. If I did my steps correctly, we'll see. Should have used my Fitbit to keep track. Gotta get those steps in. Can I toss this? Nope, you can't discard this. Well, it's gonna be stuck in our inventory the whole time. Alright, we made it. It's still night. So we've got our magic key, and we'll be coming into the castle to raid their treasury here. So these doors, this one here and then the one on the other side, are normally blocked by guards during the day. But for some reason at night, they're not there. So it's also worth noting that items go to the first character in your party, even if they're dead. So if the hero were alive, they'd be going into his coffin. And then if their inventory is full, it'll go to the next character down. So I'm picking things up in a certain order just to make sure that I can menu around them correctly. So you come up here to talk to the queen. She can't obviously help you, but she tells you to search around, and there's a wizard ring behind her bed. God. That small metal is going to mess me up this entire run. Wizard rings are also known as prayer rings in some versions. They're breakable items, so you can use it to restore your MP, but has a chance of breaking. But this first one we're actually going to sell for the money. We'll be picking up more later that we'll use as prayer rings. So we're going to buy some equipment. We're going to buy iron helmets for our hero and warrior. We're going to buy an iron shield for our hero. And we're going to buy iron armor for both our hero and warrior. In an actual PB attempt, I would sell the ruby bracelet here also, because it makes this menu and then the next one a little bit smoother, but it sells for 7,500 and we don't spend the money here. So to avoid the chance of dying with 8,000 gold, we'll sell it later. So we're going to stock up on some consumables here. Chimera wings, holy waters, some antidote herbs, and then some more medical herbs. I still have a lot of medical herbs, so I don't need a ton here. I'll buy one more set. The text about how many I currently have is in a slightly different place in this version. We'll revive our warrior. So in the event of a wipe for the pyramid, I would be reviving everyone and then safety saving before walking back. That way, money doesn't become a repeated issue of not being able to afford to revive people. So this book here is a personality book that they were talking about earlier. I'm going to clear up some inventory space, and then we're going to use this brave book on our thief. Changes Thief's personality to one that's very good. It's not as good as Tough Guy, but it is better than Iron Man. I think it gives the same or similar stamina increases, but it gives more agility, maybe? Off the top of my head, I don't actually remember the difference between Fearless and Iron Man. So this is another vault we can open with a magic key. This one's open during the day, but gonna use these seeds that we just picked up. We're rolling ones on like everything, so that's not ideal. Gonna trade around some equipment. His menus are incredibly slow in English. And we're gonna go back to Isis here one more time. Which will let us pick up the treasure for the Meteorite Armband, which is an accessory that's one of the most valuable accessories in the game. It doubles the wearer's agility. It's incredibly good. Be using it all throughout the run on various characters. It's in this chest down here. It is possible to get it while we're in Isis, but if you need to go into the well for the book, it's actually faster to wing outside and walk in, so. This guy asks if you disturb his sleep, and you just tell him no. He just leaves you alone. For whatever reason. It's really funny. If you say yes, he goes on this long-winded rant. I don't actually remember how long-winded it is, because I haven't done it in forever, but... So now we're off to the city of Portoga. We're going to buy some equipment here. The last of our money. I'm going to force an encounter here. So the encounters in this area are relatively safe. But if I take another step down, encounters get very dangerous. So we're hoping to not see any encounters between here and Portoga. But if we do, look out, especially if they're lumps. Little druid guys, brown druid guys. No lumps. We got a rogue knight and a raven. These guys aren't too bad. They will hurt your party members in the back quite a bit. But your first two characters have really good armor. The rogue knights can crit and the ravens take 2 actions per turn, but it's not a big a deal. Oh, it's funny. It's like slightly different the way that the guy talks. So we're going to buy a steel sword for our warrior. We would buy this in Isis if we sold the ruby bracelet there. And then we're going to buy steel whips for our thief and for our hero, which are incredibly good weapons. They'll hit an entire group of enemies. Sort away all of our extra junk to the bag. And buy some extra medical herbs. Some to the bag. But also medical herbs for our mage. And for our thief. I meant to hit 8 there. Whatever. It's fine. I'm going to come up into this house, get an extra strength seed. There are a lot of extra safety seeds that are available in this speedrun to give you additional hit points or strength or agility. Those are the ones we mostly care about. And in an RTA run, like a PB attempt, you'd skip a lot of them because they're usually a little bit out of the way and they're not necessary for the run. But for a race, usually you'll get a couple extra. Oops. And for a marathon type run, it's better to get a bunch of them, play it a little bit safer. The end game is really very scary, so they will go to good use. And then we'll come into the vault here and raid this as well. Steel whips and holy water, Castlevania strats, exactly. Use our strength seed, stamina seed. I'm going to give this mist staff over to the warrior. So the mist staff is an item we can use in combat to cast the stop spell. which will be used at a couple points throughout the run. And now we can actually fight things. So if you remember when I got to Romilly, I was saying the king was talking about his crown being stolen. Now we're gonna go take out the people who stole his crown. Stop spell. Yep. So we're at the point of the game now where we can start really fighting things for some experience. It's not best to fight every single thing you run into. There are some encounters that are a little bit slow. The general rule of thumb for here is if you can beat something, if you're confident you can beat an encounter in one turn, definitely take it. If it's definitely going to take you 2 turns or more, probably skip it. And if it's kind of borderline, then you use some discretion, or if it's going to be slow to run away from. The XP is useful, so it doesn't hurt necessarily to fight things, but from a time standpoint, you want to be a little bit picky. So another fur hood, just like the one that we bought in Osalam, this one goes to our mage. The fur hood is a piece of head equipment that can only be worn by female characters. So we make the mage and the thief specifically female, so they can wear both the fur hood and then the silver barrettes later. But there's better equipment for the hero and the warrior, so males have a little bit better starting stats in terms of strength and stamina. It's usually only like 1 point of strength and stamina, but it's still slightly better to have a male hero and a male soldier, and female thief and mage for the equipment choices. This fight's kind of dumb. We're just going to run from that one. Those caterpillars cast increase, and both of those encounters are a little bit tanky, so that would be a definite 2-turn, and possibly even 3-turn if they decide to buff up their defense. Okay, I did get upper. Just checking my spell menu to see if I learned the upper spell. So, at level 4, your mage... Well, we'll talk about spell learning in general. So at level 4, your mage has a 50% chance to learn the upper spell, which increases your defense by 50%. And level 5, your mage will also have a 50% chance of learning the Ice Bolt spell, which is a very powerful attack spell for this point in the game. Very useful on the Kandar 1 fight. I don't really like taking this fight, but we'll do it. It's fine. It's definitely going to be 2 turns, but everything except the crab should die on the first turn, and then it'll be pretty quick. So there are 2 different types of spell categories in this game. One of them is a flat 50-50, so I think upper falls into that category, so it's 50% chance to learn it at level 4. If you don't learn it, it'll be 50% chance at level 5, etc. Forever. So you are never guaranteed to learn it. That'll come back later. There'll be a specific spell for the grind segment that's required for the run that will always be a 50% chance. So that'll be save scummed later. Okay, we didn't learn the Ice Bolt spell, which is unfortunate, but not a big deal. It's a little slower. 4 crabs, not the best fight. The other type of spell is one that is based on your intelligence stat or wisdom stat. And basically, if your wisdom is very high above average, then for your level, or for the level of the spell, then you'll learn it. If your wisdom is average, you will have a 50% chance of learning it. And if you don't, you'll be guaranteed the next level. And if your wisdom is very, very poor, then you'll have a 50% chance of gaining it the next level and a 50% chance of gaining it 2 levels later. So, Ice Bolt, for example, falls under that category. So if your intelligence is incredibly poor, you'll still be guaranteed to learn it by level 7 because it's a level 5 spell. It doesn't really matter too much, but there are some spells that will provide some variance to the run. Sometimes things that you expect to have that you'll miss, or sometimes things that you'll get early that you can take advantage of. But they mostly fall under that 50-50 category. 3 people got hit with poison. Wow. It's fine. We need to do some menuing here anyway, so we'll heal up this poison. Oh, I never equipped that. Wow. I never equipped the Meteorite Armband on the hero. Oh, let's fix that. Supposed to do that in combat. I kind of forgot. So, as I mentioned, the Meteorite Armband increases your agility. The other main accessory that we have is the Hero Bracer, which increases your strength by quite a bit, or your attack power. And so we kind of swap them back and forth between the hero and the thief depending on what's happening. Basically, the hero will use the Hero Bracer during bosses to do more damage, and the thief will use the armband to heal. With great speed. I need to pay a little bit of attention this first turn. And then while fighting trash, the thief will typically use the Hero Bracer to do more damage, and the hero will use the armband to try to go fast, so hopefully both your thief and your hero go before the enemies do. And then in the end game, it'll go on your sage for healing purposes. It's worth noting that my mage is often doing physical attacks. The mage actually has a very good weapon right now. It'll be sold soon. But the mage's weapon is very good, so she can actually physical attack with effectiveness at the moment. Which is pretty nice because it means even if you don't get Ice Bolt, she's not completely useless in this fight. I used Upper to increase everyone's defense, which makes this a little bit easier to get through, but you can get through it just fine without Upper also. So that's the Kandar 1 fight. This is the guy who stole the first real boss fight of the run, and he's the guy who stole the crown of the King of Romilly. In the NES and Famicom versions, Kandar 1 is actually optional. You can just walk right by him, go on to the next area. There's going to be a second Kandar fight. Spoiler, I keep calling him Kandar 1. And that fight's not available in this version until you fight Kandar 1 here. So that's the King's Crown. We're going to leave it there. Somebody else will come by and grab it, I'm sure. Maybe a poison caterpillar or something. I think I'd like a poison caterpillar as the King of Romilly. Maybe an army crab, but anyway, Kandar 1's down, so oh, I missed my split. Fine. The splits I'm comparing against are my average Japanese times, so I don't have splits for the English version. So there's a life seed down here. I would never get this in a PB attempt. But I like showing it off because it's sort of out of the way. How they expect you to find that, I have no idea. So one general concept of the run is to make sure you know where items are going to be at any given time. Partially because, you know, as a Western runner playing mostly in Japanese, it's nice to not have to try to read the text or remember what things look like. But in addition, it's just faster to menu things with muscle memory rather than having to read them. So that King's Letter was something that, if you remember back when I was in Portoga, I tidied my bag specifically so that when the king gives me the letter, it goes to the top of Hero's inventory so we can just turbo into it as quickly as possible here. And that's kind of a theme throughout the run. So this walk here to Baharata isn't typically too scary. If you get ambushed, it can be. A lot of the enemies here do area damage, so the heat gizmos and the hunter flies both do AoE fire. These guys breathe fire, and the hunter flies cast fireball, which is even stronger. The wolves can be knocked out of combat with the Expel spell, like I did at the start of that fight. Expel causes an enemy to be kicked out of the fight, basically, and you don't get experience for them, but they just go away. I'll be using that a few times throughout the run. Some more wolves here, but it's not guaranteed. It's, I think, a 75% chance. This is actually pretty scary. The thief is really hurt. Okay, that's good. Let the thief herb herself. The wolves here cast the surround spell, which again makes it so you have a high chance of missing. So it can be pretty annoying to try to physical through the nonsense that they do. If they surround you, that's why you tend to expel them. But if they're the only thing left, you can fight them. They also call for friends sometimes, and they hit pretty hard. They're just generally a annoying enemy to deal with. So this is where we sell the mage's staff. So it was useful while we had it, but even more useful are these magic shields. It's one of the best shields in the game. That's weird. Turbo just got like hung up there. Reduces spell damage when equipped. Oops. There'll be a dragon shield that we'll get later, which will decrease breath damage, which will be better overall than the magic shield. So we're gonna grab some more herbs to refill our mage and thief. And I'm also gonna buy a spider web. You may or may not end up using this later on in the run. It's a safety strat, but it's not incredibly reliable. So I don't always use it, but... Right, that's correct. So the surround spell surrounds you with illusions, so the idea is that you're hitting the illusions instead of the real enemy. So we talked to that old man there, and he tells us, you hear about Gupta's girlfriend being kidnapped by bandits. And Gupta runs off to try to find her, which clearly cannot go badly, right? And so we're gonna hunt down Gupta and his girlfriend. So our mage doesn't have a weapon anymore, so he's not going to be attacking, but... And you might think, like, it's better to just, whip a group of death jackals like that. And maybe that's true. rather than expelling them. But again, they can surround you and call for friends and can kind of just waste some time, so if you can expel them before they get to act, it's worth doing. We don't really care about the experience. We don't need it for the Kandar 2 fight, and coming up shortly after the fight will be a grind segment. There's a stamina seed if I go left here, but I'm going to skip that. I never get that stamina seed. Kind of always forget it's there, honestly. There's also a, pile of seeds here. Wisdom. Movement in tight corridors is impossible. Strength. Life Nut. Joey Seed. Do a quick menu. I'm going to trade our rings back. Going to use this Wisdom Seed, a Strength Seed. Make sure we're healed up to full. We're going to reorder our party to put the Warrior in first. So I didn't talk about this earlier, but most enemies that have physical attacks target you in a weighted manner so that the person in the front of the party gets hit 40% of the time. Person in second is 30, 20, and then 10. So you typically put your beefiest characters at the front. I'm actually going to have to heal the hero here because he got targeted 3 times in a row. So only 1 stop spell hit. So that's not ideal, but it's normal. It's a low chance on these guys. There's a little glitch that we use. To reset our defense. So everybody's defense got lowered by these enemies. And if you change your equipment in battle, it'll actually reset that defense. We got lucky there, so the third one that stopped build tried to cast heal, but was blocked, which was the point of casting stop spell. It's just not super reliable. It's a 30% chance to hit them. So it's cool that it worked. Alright, the henchmen are down. Great. It's usually a pretty easy fight. Sometimes your mage doesn't learn Fireball, and it makes that fight kind of silly. I could choose to cast Heal with MP here, but if the fight goes badly, Kandar 2 can crit you, so could Kandar 1. And if somebody in the back gets focused down or crit, you could, like the mage or the thief, you could end up running out of healing items. So having a little bit of extra MP on the hero is just sort of a safety against that. That's why I healed with the herbs instead. So this is Kandar 2. He's our second boss. The one who kidnapped Gupta and his girlfriend here. And you might wonder, like, so when you fight Kandar 1 the first time, after you fight him, he's like, I'm a changed man, let me go. And you're required to say yes to set up this fight. If we just didn't let him go, then none of this would have happened. So one of them got to heal more off, which isn't great, but... hopefully they both die here. No, they didn't. Okay, so just making sure I got my setup as good as I can get it. We need to make sure that the mage ends with at least 8 MP to cast the outside spell after this fight. It's not like run ending or anything if the mage dies or you use too much MP, but it costs like 30 or 40 seconds to walk out of this place. So it's better to cast outside than to keep casting a couple more Ice Bolts, especially because this guy can resist Ice Bolt. So otherwise we're just kind of fighting him down and using some herbs. I used a couple of uppers on the first two characters to increase their defense a little bit. Again, they get targeted more. The first Kandar fight, actually, the enemies have unweighted targeting, so they hit everybody equally. But on the Kandar 2 fight, they kind of follow the normal rules. Nice dodge. Should be getting kind of close to being dead. This guy's got a lot of hit points, actually. 800, I think? I'm not sure of the exact number, but I think it's 800. Which is quite a lot for this point in the game. It's a real step up from anything else we fought so far. There we go. So because the early game has a lot of dialogue and a lot of menuing and a lot of setups, the English patch really loses a lot of time in the beginning of the game. Parts of the game are a little bit more combat focused, where there's no real difference between English and so here we have to tell him that he's allowed to leave because he's a changed man again. But yeah, the early game loses more time to the English patch because of the dialogue and everything. So, I didn't talk about it earlier, but I didn't go to Portoga. My bad. I was right the first time. When we came to Portoga, the king gave us that king's letter because he wanted us to come to Baharata in order to... because he heard that there was some pepper here, that you could get pepper, and he loves pepper. He's like an addict. It's the whole reason for coming here in the first place is because Gupta here sells the pepper, the black pepper. And, so he gives us the letter to get through here. So that way we can get the pepper for him. So now we've beaten Kandar 2, we've got the pepper. We're gonna go deliver it to the King of Portoga. I wonder what he could possibly give us for some black pepper. I mean, it's just pepper, right? Like, I realize pepper is delicious, but, you know, is it, like, valuable? I mean, Baharata's not really close to Portoga, but you think that he'd have some people that he could just send over to get some for him, right? Let's see what he decides to give us. Wait, is that pepper? As promised, my ship is yours. So he does tell you this earlier. I kind of glossed over it, but if you were reading the dialogue as it came up, you would have seen it. But yeah, he promises his boat in exchange for the pepper, which is the biggest steal, biggest heist possible. But this lets us kind of get around to all the other continents. So one of the things that's sort of classic of, look at this warrior, 145 hit points. It's kind of part of classic DQ RTA is that once you get the boat, or whatever method of travel you're using, you kind of run around to a bunch of different towns to set up all of our return points. And there's things to do in all of these areas. We don't go there just for the sake of setting that up, mostly. We'll talk about the one that we do in a minute, but so you kind of sail around hitting a couple plot triggers and setting up some return points across the world. These ocean encounters are all things that we're capable of fighting, although Kravis is really scary, he can crit you. But we're going to be doing a grind here after this sailing segment, and that's going to be way more efficient than most of these fights. So on the ground here, is a bolt staff. This staff will cast Firebane when used as an item in combat. It's very valuable. Very valuable as an item to use. We're going to grab an invisibility herb for our warrior here. We'll be using that in a minute. Menu past that small metal I picked up earlier. And then we'll use one of our holy waters. So, the way holy water works, I talked about encounter depletion earlier. And depletion lowers with each step until it gets to 0, right? Well, if we use a holy water, and we are sufficiently high level compared to the area we're in, so like here we're at the starting area, not the water, but the land, you actually get 0 depletion on those tiles. So like these steps here, no depletion. We take an encounter reset, and then we get back on the ocean. And typically, you can get here with 0 encounters and then make it to the next area also with 0. But you do get ocean encounters on occasion. There's a few tiles here where stuff is broken and there's actually also no depletion. But the enemies on this island or on this part of the continent, I should say, it's not really an island, are really scary. So you really don't want to see them. Holy water just kind of helps with minimizing encounters. And the next place we're going is actually the second town. And we'll get a few more steps of holy water usage out of that. Which can make the difference between getting an encounter and not. These steps here. On land. While sailing to Japan. So, yeah, the city's called Japan or town. DQ3 takes place in kind of a pseudo world map. Sort of mimics the shape of the Earth. And some of the towns are named and placed as such. I think Edinburgh is like the UK, Japan is where Japan is, things like that. Aliahan is Australia, I think. So, this is the Shrine of Dharma. We'll be coming back here later. So, Japan and Dharma are the 2 places that we sail to now that is really just for setting up the return points. But it also takes advantage of the leftover holy water from the sail to the pirate hideout. In the pirate hideout, there's also an item that I could have picked up, the loose socks, that I could have sold for some money. I don't really need it, but it actually sells for quite a bit. Pretty common backup item to get. Buy more moth powders. So we're going to be buying pretty soon some moth powders, which will be used in the grinding, and you'll see how. So you kind of want to get as many of them as you can, within reason. But here in Edinburgh, we have a couple of items, so the party dress and the slick suit. We'll be using the party dress for a while, and both of them will eventually be sold. They both sell for a ton of money. It's like 17,000 gold worth of items in those 2 chests. Which is huge. There's this little boulder puzzle down here. This is required. So there's an item down here called the Drought Vase or the Thirsty Pitcher. Which we'll need to get to an area a little bit later. We're going to do a little bit more menuing here. Trade some of the items around that we got, trade our rings back, etc. Bolt staff to the mage, heavy metal ring to the mage, or rockstar ring. Party dress to the thief. Strength seed, use on the hero. Trade our rings back. The English patch bugs out and doesn't show the name of this town for some reason. Sue. Yes, I did equip the staff. That is intended. It's fine. I just turbo through it. You equip this. Oops. You equip this anyway, so it all ends up in the same place. Oops, I did want to equip that. I said no that time. Now you've got me self-conscious about things. There we go. You're supposed to equip that, and then the staff just ends up there. I need to sell some stuff. Sell the shield. Sell our fur hoods. And buy a silver beret for our mage. Then we're going to stock up on moth powders. Pass it before the herb. Yeah, that's valid. It is better if you want to fight water encounters to switch the rings back and pass the staff sooner. But I don't do that. I like doing it all in the bolt staff menu. I kind of remember things better doing it all at once there. Find it a little bit smoother. But what you're suggesting, SK, is probably the better way to do it, honestly. How many herbs do I have? 80? Won't buy one more set. I don't really need this one more set, but... Alright, now we're off to Dharma, where we will be... beginning our grind segment. So we're looking for our friends, the Metal Slime. So anyone who's familiar with the Dragon Quest series will note that Metal Slimes and Metal enemies typically are worth a lot of experience, but they're pretty difficult to kill. In particular, they run away frequently, and they have very high defense. You'll either do 0 or 1 damage. So we're going to use the moth powders to confuse them, which will prevent them from running away. It'll also make them attack themselves to try to kill them a little bit more reliably. And the idea is that we can grind... look at that, it's fine. Cheesy ticket. We can grind pretty efficiently. We will be also killing off some characters during this run intentionally, so the way XP works in this game is that it's split among living party members, so if you kill off a character, then the rest of them get more experience. Not all Dragon Quest games do that, but DQ3 does, so I'll be taking advantage of that in order to sort of maximize the gains for the characters who need it. In particular, our warrior is going to be killed off very quickly. He's already at 145 hit points, which is enough to honestly kill him off now, but unless I get a ton of medals in one fight, I'll probably let him get 2 levels before killing him off. Usually 13 is kind of the sweet spot. Oh boy. No, let's just defend. Expel, defend, defend. So these sky dragons have very strong breath, but they are vulnerable to expel, thankfully. There is a formation with 3 of them on this floor in 2 separate groups, and I've wiped to that before. But if somebody unintended dies, you pretty much have to leave and revive. Pretty important to not do that. But they're guaranteed to hit with Expel, as long as your hero survives to cast it. So we get up near the top of the tower, where the encounters are more favorably weighted towards metal slimes. There'll be a couple items up here we want to get also, so sort of accomplishes 2 things at once. Now I swear, and maybe this is just my luck, but every time I play the English patch, I feel like I see fewer metal slimes than I do on Japanese. So we'll see how they behave today. These Garudas are pretty irritating. They cast Firebane. Or they physical attack. The moths just physical attack. But both of those enemies are guaranteed to confuse if you throw moth powders on them. So if they show up with metal slimes, you can actually confuse them to help kill the metal slimes. confused enemies will use a different damage formula that can actually do more than one damage to the slime, so... yeah, there's a lot of like detailed mechanics to how confusion works in this game. I'm not gonna go into all of it, but... oh, well, that's not ideal. So if a confused enemy is the last one on the field, he can still run away. But if there's any other enemies on the field, then he'll be guaranteed to not run away. Shenron and the boys. The item menus are a little bit different, laid out a little bit differently in the English patch, so I'm sort of, I know the inputs, but it's throwing my brain off a little bit. I'll get used to it. So yeah, 7 medals is the most that can show up. You can have a 7 medal only fight, or you can have something like this where it's got a Sky Dragon plus 7 medals. Those are the two biggest fights. Boom. Alright, so here we're gonna kill off our soldier. Okay. Sort of a weird turn outcome there, but... so Metal Slime can have either 3 or 4 hit points. The characters using the poison needles are guaranteed to do 1 damage. Anyone who's not using the needle, it's about a 50-50. To do 0 or 1. The poison needles also have a chance, I think it's like 1 in 16 or something like that, of instantly killing them, which is very valuable. So I'm gonna do a quick party reorder and a little bit of menuing here real quick. Turbo got hung up again. So, because this game is run with JRTA rules, I mentioned this a couple times, but I am using a turbo controller. It's allowed in Japan, it's allowed in the rule set. So that's how this game is played, which, it leads to some interesting execution. It actually makes a lot of the execution very difficult. Well, using 3 moth powders might have been a mistake on this one. They all went on the same target, too. Alright, well. So, right now, our hero has both a whip and a steel sword. The whips will only ever hit the leftmost metal slime. So, in this fight, for example, I equipped the steel sword so it would hit the right metal slime because the left one was confused. So your characters will target enemies in a certain way when they're using a single target damage weapon. This fight is one of the more annoying formations. There's one with 3 moths, but this mixed bird moth metal slime is one of the more annoying formations in this grind. But yeah, when using a single target damage weapon, your characters will basically target whatever group you hit from left to right, the lowest hit point, enemy, current hit points, who's not confused. So it means if there's 5 metal slimes and your characters attack the third one, it's got 3 hit points and the left ones have 2. Otherwise, they would have hit one of the ones on the left first, for example. I don't expect viewers to keep track of this, but it's something that I'm thinking about as I'm taking my actions here. I got paralyzed there, which actually isn't ideal. But it's probably fine. And so you use the single target weapons like the sword to take advantage of that targeting behavior. The sword also has a critical hit chance where the whip does not. So a critical hit will take out a metal slime in 1 hit, but I won't switch weapons just for the crit chance. I switch for the targeting. So pick up another silver beret here. Again, that's a female equip only item. It's the same one we bought for the mage and Sue. So we pick up one here for the thief. Nice confuse. There's a critical hit. That's what I was talking about. It's kind of lucky. Oops. You already have that equipped. Okay. So the goal of this first part of the grind here is to get our thief to level 20. So in this game you can class change, and it requires being level 20 to do so. So we start off with a thief for a couple reasons. One is that spell we just learned, the tiptoe spell. That'll reduce our encounter rate while it's active. And then the thief also gets some valuable stats like agility, which will carry over after the class change. So when you class change, effectively all of your stats are cut in half, so you keep some of the stats you had before you class changed. And so the agility that the thief is gaining now will be useful for the sage that she will turn into. Nice fight. So once we get level 20, we'll leave, do our class change, and then we'll come back for a little bit more grinding later. But this part of the run is really, really technical. There's kind of a lot going on. There's a lot of menuing, there's a lot of keeping track of what items you have equipped, how many moth powders you have, determining what the best action to take is on a given turn. Something like this, I chose to throw 2 powders at the moss and only 1 at the metals, because the moss are guaranteed to get confused and will do good damage to the metal slimes. I could have just done 1 on each. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of different options for how you play it. Sort of unfortunate with how that played out, but only getting 1 metal off 3 powders is not... It's not great. We can buy more powders if we're low. We will need some for the second part of the grind, but at the moment we're fine. Actually, let's also just give these over real quick. The last ones that were on our soldier. The beginning of this grind can be a little bit scary because bug floating around. Because your max hit points are pretty low, so enemies with area of effect attacks can really do a lot of damage to you. But we're far enough into the grind now that we're not too worried about dying as long as we don't let ourselves get careless. The mage got paralyzed. So you can actually wipe out. If all of your characters get paralyzed, you'll be effectively wiped, even though your characters don't die. But when you're walking around in the overworld, there's a chance every step of them becoming unparalyzed. I'll throw 3 powders. It's a little greedy. But good. It's the wrong one. So, I mentioned that the AI uses different damage formulas. It also uses different targeting formulas. So the metal slimes can hit other confused metal slimes, even though your party won't do that. I'm going to check the XP on my thief here. Okay. I'm at 25,000 and change. High 32s, 32.7, 32.8, something like that, is level 20. And I don't want to go too far over, because the thief is going to lose all of that on class change. So I need about 7,000 XP. Nice. Well, Not super great. We got 3, so that's 4,000. Male or female only gear. Yeah, I don't know if this game has any male only gear. There might be one piece. There's a male only personality, and there's a female only personality. But I don't know that there's any gear. For males only. But I agree, it's kind of cool. Hopefully 2 more metal slimes will be enough if I get a little bit of junk. Otherwise 3 is fine. I'm actually only going to throw 1 powder on this. As unlikely as it is, I really don't want to kill all of them. Sword. 3 would be great, and I would take 4. I'll go for 1 more. Oh, okay. Boxer shorts, silk hat, and a slick suit. Silk hat, huh? I definitely don't want to fight this one. I want this guy to run away now. You have about 1 metal slime worth of leeway for going over on this XP. I might have even overdone it, honestly. It's not a huge deal if I went over, but it's not great. So you want to get the Thief to 20, but again, the Thief is going to lose all of that XP, but you can go back to level 1 on this class change that's coming up here. And we're going to come back in to grind our mage to level 21, and we want the sage, the thief who's turned into a sage, to get to level 14 during that grind. But the closer the mage gets to 21, the less XP the sage gets after the second part of the grind, so that's why you want to kind of cut as close to level 20 as possible. And why I must have killed 5 metal slimes in that fight instead of 4. I guess I wasn't really paying enough attention. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Or 4 instead of 3, I mean. 3 would have been 4,000. Yeah, I think I meant to... My math is off. I meant to kill 3. It was 2, almost 3. Instead, I killed 4. So what that means is that once my mage gets level 21, I'm probably going to have to do a little bit more, get a little bit more XP for my sage. We'll figure it out. We're going to use that thirsty pitcher we got earlier. Gets us into this cave, which will have the final key in it, or the ultimate key. This will open all of the locked doors. Then we're going to do a little bit of rearranging our accessories for better fighting metals and better taking advantage of personalities. We're going to do an impossible menu here. It's always one of the ones people struggle with. So we're going to give the starry ring to the mage. I'm going to give the heavy metal ring to the sage. I'm going to equip the whip on the hero. We're going to give the sword to the sage. The hero is going to be one of those characters who's going to be killed off for XP distribution. So we want the the advantage of being able to use the sword. And we're going to give the hero ring to the hero. That was alright. Then we're going to head back into the tower for more grinding. Oops. Why don't you... This is sort of a weird fight. Alright. Metal Slime ran, that's good. It's not good, but... This fight's just kind of dumb. Especially when we're all surrounded like this. Kill the monkey. Kill the Nev. Thank you. Silly fight. So the sage grind went pretty well, overall. So the idea is that we're going to get very close to level 21 on the mage, and then go outside to safety save. In an RTA, you would just go for level 21 and you roll the 50-50 on hitting by kill, which is the spell we need. And either you get it or you reset. If you have enough moth powders, you can usually relatively quickly go to level 22. But it's a little bit slow, and I don't have like a ton of moth powders, so I really hope it doesn't come to that in this run. So typically you get close to 21, safety save, and then you just you get the XP you need and keep re-rolling by kill until you get it. Kind of the idea. So the mage needs 45,676 XP for level 21, so I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. Unaffected. That's great. Good. Oof. I should have probably killed off the hero on that fight, but kind of would have taken a while. The hero's got... So, the goal for the hero is to get him to level 18 or 19 to learn the stop spell. And it's a 50-50 at 18 and basically guaranteed at 19. And he learned it at 19. But I'll kill him off usually at 18 if there's a good opportunity to do so. Switch to whip. So I'm about 8,000 XP away. Which right now is about 6 metal slimes, or about 4 if I kill off the hero. Oops. So throughout this grind, the mage gets some spells that we can use to help kill things like Blaze More on the birds. At level 20, the mage also has a chance of learning Snowstorm, which is very good for fighting things. It's guaranteed at 21. Let's kill off the birds here. Getting rid of these... The birds like do a lot of damage and they also have pretty slow animation, so killing them quickly is pretty valuable. Just to speed up the fight. Ah, it's annoying. Well, I was gonna kill off the hero there, but the poison needle and the running slime kind of took the wind out of my sails on that one. My XP again, 39. I really want the hero to just like die off. Hero doesn't even have any moth powder, so I'm gonna use the hero on the moss this time instead. If the hero ever takes a turn. There we go. So we're gonna have the hero attack himself to make sure that their characters get the most out of these metal slimes. I'm gonna check my XP again, like, really want to make sure I'm not going over. So I cannot take 2 metal slimes now. I can take 1 and some junk. I don't have Hiadaruko. Hiadaruko is Snowstorm. It's really good against the moss, but you're not guaranteed to learn it at 20. It's the Snowstorm spell I was talking about. But it's guaranteed to kill them. It does more damage than Firebane, and it's guaranteed to hit the moss. So yeah, if I get 2 metals, it's going to give me too much XP, and I'll be rolling the 50-50. So I want to do this. I'm gonna let that last metal run away. Sad as that is. We're at kind of an unfortunate XP threshold. This is kind of like a bad scenario. Okay, we're like 1,000 XP away. Oops, I'm gonna cast outside first. So we'll walk back to Dharma. There's a save point here. We'll fight some stuff on the way. But I say it's worst case because, like, we're not really close to 21, and the mage is, or the sage is also still pretty far from 14. So after this fight, I'll hop into Dharma and save. And again, this is to make sure I can reroll the 50-50 for buy kill. Yeah, Sage needs 2,500 still. I'm still 800 XP away, so I'm not super close. So I'm gonna come over here to Japan and see if we can find some bears. Nope, these are king toads. That's some Diener special. King toads aren't worth very much XP. This is the fight you want, these bears. this, we'll be good to go back to Dharma and save again. Might seem like I'm saving a lot, but it really is better than like accidentally YOLOing or something. 12 XP away. So what I'm actually going to do here is once I get by kill, I'm going to do a little bit more grinding for my Sage. So we got Snow Blast or Snowstorm or whatever it is, but we didn't get by kill, so we need to do it again. It's the safety saving part I was talking about. Said it's a flat 50-50. So yeah, we'll use that Snowstorm spell to fight near Edinburgh briefly. Oops. In order to get Sage 14. Sage at 14 learns the Heal More spell, which is very useful for the boss fights coming up. I don't want to say it's required, but so, obviously, as you can tell, this grind kills a lot of runs, both because of the randomness of the metal slimes, but also because of buy kill at the end. So, it seems that anytime you get a quick run, you're just liable to lose it to missing buy kill. My best grinds ever have all... The best grind ever was like a 119, level 21, 118, 119, something like that. And it missed buy kill. I think I missed it again at level 22 that run also. It was like a 124. It would have been still a really good time. But we got buy kill now, so now we're just doing a little bit more grinding to get the Sage 14. Shouldn't take too long. One or two more fights. Probably two more fights. Snow Blast is very effective against these enemies. I kept saying Snowstorm earlier. I get them confused because both I don't know the English names that well, but also because between some of the DQ games, they've changed the names of those two spells a few times. So this fight should get a Sage or level. So we should get Heal More here. Yep. Oops. Alright, back to Dharma. Time to class change our Mage. Now that she's got buy kill, she doesn't need any more Mage XP. I technically could have class changed her before doing that grinding and gotten the XP on the new class, but because of MP and speed and just general everything, it's safer to just keep it as the Mage. Alright, so our grinding is done. Do a little bit of item stuff here. Give the Starry Ring to our Sage, as well as the Bolt Staff. And the Heavy Metal Ring goes on to the Soldier. So I didn't talk about the Heavy Metal Ring when I got it earlier, but it's a lot of the accessories in this game, the Hero Ring and the Rockstar Ring being examples of them, will change your personality, so your stat growth while it's equipped. And the Heavy Metal Ring gives a pretty good personality. It's not as good as what the Mage Warrior has naturally, but it's not really much worse. It gives good stamina, a little bit less than Iron Man, which is what our mage is, but does give more agility, which is useful both for turn order purposes as well as agility in this game contributes to your base defense. And the Heavy Metal Ring itself also gives flat agility bonus, which is the reason that we equip it. It helps your low-level characters survive after class changing with the extra defense. We'll take it off a little bit later. So we're coming here to Lancel. Lancel has this trial in it, Gaia's Navel. And you can only bring one character into here. So, of course, we bring our Sage because she's got this Tiptoe spell. So when you class change, I talked a little bit earlier about your stats getting cut in half. Your personality carries over, your stats get cut in half. But any spells that you've learned as the previous class carry over also. So my mage turning into a soldier is going to keep her mage spells. Likewise, my thief turning into a sage is going to keep the thief abilities for my sage. Unfortunately, we don't fight any more metal slimes out here. Not going to fight them alone with our sage, so just run from that one. But yeah, so this Tiptoe spell, I talked about depletion earlier for anyone who wasn't here. To repeat, whenever you load a new area from either leaving combat or using a door or staircase or something, not these little transitions, the game generates a random number to be used as a depletion value, and every step you take depletes that, and when that hits 0, you get an encounter. And so we encounter cancel on staircases to reset that, but the Tiptoe spell halves that depletion rate. So if a step would normally deplete your counter by 8, it will instead deplete it by 4, for example. Which is extremely valuable, and when you combine Tiptoe with staircase canceling, you end up with like a third of the encounters you would, rather than, the half that the half depletion might imply. If you abuse that casually, it's really easy to end up underleveled, and it's not necessarily the best idea. But in the speedrun purpose, it does make things a lot more consistent. So we were in there for that blue orb that we got. I got the red orb earlier in the Pirate's Hideout. So the goal that we have now, the overarching goal that we have, is to collect all of the orbs to resurrect Ramia, who's the bird that gives us our airship, because Baramos' castle is surrounded by water and mountains, and you can't get to it except for by air. So we're going to come in here and revive our characters that died during the grind. So we have to do a bunch of sort of side quests and go to different towns in order to collect these orbs. There are 6 of them in total. So right now I have the red orb from the Pirate Hideout and the blue orb from Gaia's Navel. Pass over this armor that we picked up. Oops. Terra armor. Give that to our warrior. We got that in Gaia's Navel. It's both really good armor, and in this version also sells for a lot of money. If anyone's played the NES version, I don't even think you can sell it in that version. Or if you do, it's very minimal. But it sells for like 9,000 in this version. It's quite nice. But it'll also be good armor for boss troll. So this is the town of Tadanki. There's actually a seed we can get over here. Oops. I never picked this up, but For some reason, I'm going to this time. And we also get the green orb. So that's very convenient. We sail here and we talk to a guy in prison. You need the final key to get here, but it's the only real requirement. And get an orb. There's also an inn, which is suspiciously cheap at 4 gold. Wonder why that could be. Wait, where is everyone? So, Tadonki's like a ghost town kind of thing. And people are only there at night. So you have to visit the town at night in order to get the green orb. Basically the way that works. And you also find the darkness lamp here, which can be used to make at night. In case you get here during the day. Kind of your clue. You get the darkness lamp and you use it to see what it does, and then everything turns nighttime and the whole town is there. It's kind of a cool item. We'll actually be using the darkness lamp on the overworld on occasion because it counts as an encounter cancel. So we can use that to further reduce our encounter rate. I could opt to fight some things like that, like those 3 mermen, because my Mage Warrior is still level 1. So Mage Warrior would have gotten, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 levels off of that fight. But the way stats work in this game is that there's kind of soft caps based on your level. So when you class change, your stats are really high from your previous job. So you really don't get much stat benefit from the first 2 levels. So fighting that for the extra XP, like while it would be a little bit nice, you know, I'd probably gain like 5 hit points or something. If you're soft cap, you can still gain stats, but it's like 0 or 1 for that stat. So this is the town of Samanosa. There's kind of a funeral going on. We can't use the church services. And yeah, we'll be back there in just a minute. Something funny is going on in the town. And we need this item from the cave, Ra's Mirror, which is a recurring item in the Dragon Quest game that dispels illusions. In order to figure out what's going on in town. Mirror of Ra. Just want to give some medical herbs to our Mage Warrior friend. They can be useful during a couple boss fights. And then Samanosa. Winging resets time of day, so we can actually use wings combined with the Lamp of Darkness to further reduce our encounter rate. I could have actually winged out of here and used the lamp walk into that cave, but it's kind of like a preference thing as to which one you do, and I've kind of stopped doing that after a while for some reason. We're going to do a little bit of shopping here. There's an optional item pickup, the Assassin Dagger, that I could have gotten before coming here, which sells for a ton of money. And would have been quite nice for the next menu in particular. But maybe in a marathon run I should consider getting the Assassin Dagger, but I skip it in like races and stuff like that all the time. It just lets you get additional prayer rings, which will be kind of give you a little bit more wiggle room in the Dark World. So we're going to get a zombie slasher for our warrior and dragon shields for everybody except the sage who can't equip it. Dragon shields again reduce damage from breath attacks. Sell off a lot of the junk that we don't use anymore. The party dress we got earlier, which the thief used but the sage can't use. And then some old weapons and armor and stuff that we've kind of replaced by now to afford all that stuff. we're going to make it nighttime. The king is in his bed at nighttime all alone, and we can kind of sneak up to him. Figure out what's going on in this town. I don't really remember what the NPCs in this town tell you about what's happening. I know there's a funeral going on, and you get here, and it's related to that, but I don't really remember the circumstances around it or how much detail they go into. But the general idea is that we're going to come to this king, and we're going to show him that mirror we found in the swamp. We're going to see what happens. First, we're going to reorder our party a little bit. We're going to use our strength seeds. Use our agility seed. We're going to use the Mirror of Ra. And it's going to reveal the king as the boss troll. Oops. So this guy can critical hit. And he can also cast the defense spell to lower your defense. So the first thing we're going to do is try to stop spell him, which we hit. And the next thing we're going to do is buff our defense with increase. Good. We're also going to cast the By-Kill spell on the boss troll. So the By-Kill spell, the same one that I was grinding for earlier, it doubles your attack damage, but it makes it so you can't crit. And so you can also use this on the enemy, so that way he can't crit, but it does make him do more damage. Hence why we stack up all those increases. So I'm buffing up my party with By-Kill now, and then trying to land a sap on boss troll. Oops, I don't want to attack there. That's fine. If I can get some turns to sap. So the sage's priority is to heal, but... okay, we hit a sap, that's good. It's only a 30%, so hitting it second try is actually really nice. But sap really does speed up this fight a lot, so even though it's not the top priority, it's... because of safety reasons, it's very nice to hit sap. Ooh, Sage got outsped. But it's fine. Sage can throw in some physicals if healing isn't needed. I'm not too worried about the Mage Warrior in the back. She can kind of just defend. And again, she should only be targeted 10% of the time. 80 is kind of the heal threshold once your increases are stacked up. So, if somebody drops under 80, I'll heal them. But I'm more lenient with the Mage Warrior, who doesn't even have 80 hit points. Because the Mage Warrior can just defend at this point. So that was actually a really good boss troll fight. So we defeated the imposter, we saved the real king. Town's back to normal, and we're rewarded with this change staff. So the boss was an illusion, and we will use this to create our own set of illusions. We'll be coming over here to the elf town, and the elves won't talk to humans, but they will talk to slimes and dwarves. For whatever reason. So we'll be using the change staff to imitate something that these elves will talk to. There's a side quest around this town, No Annuals, of them being frozen to time, and there's a cave below with a gem that you can get to kind of restore them. But it doesn't give us anything useful for the speedrun, and it's not required for any progression. So we don't do that cave. There are 7 things this can change us into, and it's an even chance for each, so 2 out of 7 to get the right thing. I'm going to sell the Hero's Whip. I'm going to sell that Terra Armor. And I'm going to sell the Sage's Bolt Staff. And then we're going to buy 2 sleep staffs. These are very important. And 2 wizard rings, prayer rings. We're going to do some quick shuffling of items around here. Oops, not that. Sorry. That. And we're going to give the second sleep staff to the mage here. And we're going to wing to Edinburgh. Some silly dialogue, yeah, exactly. It's a cool quest to do for like the flavor of the game and the world of the game, but doesn't provide value to the speedrun. So that change staff that we got, we used it to get into Elftown, but in addition, we get a little dialogue here of it wearing off in a second. And we'll get another one for Holy Water in a second too. But in addition to using it for Elftown, it's required because there's a guy up here who wants it. What he wants it for, one can only guess. I will pretend not to guess. But he will give us the Sailor Bone in exchange for the sleep staff. Or the sleep staff. In exchange for the change staff. Consider it done. Linguar A. Hello, Camus. And so what that Sailor Bone does is it lets us view this ghost ship, and you can actually use it as an item, and it will give you a relative position of the ship. Relative? I think it's relative. But it always spawns near Romilly when you wing, so it's easy to just wing here and find it. Grab another string seed, and we'll pick up this chest here with the lovely memories. Some of the menus, I take my time in those areas where there's that fog overlay, because the menus in those areas are actually really laggy for some reason. Gotta do a little bit of sailing here. So, to recap, we're still looking for orbs. So that way we can revive Ramia. So I'm sailing in a particular way to there's different encounter zones in this ocean, and some have a higher depletion rate than others, so I'm just taking the lowest depletion rate. Usually the other way is fine, it's not really much different, but you get a slightly lower chance of encounters that way. The other way takes fewer steps, so it's quicker. You also see me doing things like renewing tiptoe before stepping on the boat. When you step on the boat and like the music is loading, the game actually lags quite a bit, so the menus become a little bit weird. So there's a lot of stuff like that that I kind of do throughout the game in order to just make sure I'm executing well. So there's a little thing blocking you here. A mournful song can be heard. So you got to open your inventory while this is going on. You can use our string seeds. And we release the lovely memories. Which calms the mourning ghosts, returns them together. Eric and Olivia, I think their names are, it said. No, one is Eric. One of the very few cutscenes in this game. There are a few, but this is one of the only ones. One of the, 4 or 5, basically. And this lets us get to the shrine that's otherwise blocked off. Which will have a sword. Not an orb. Sorry if anyone is hoping for an orb, but not yet. We get a sword instead. Which is pretty cool. You know, I like swords, but... this sword has a really special use. So if you remember from the beginning of the game, you were told that your dad fell into a volcano. Well, your dad's not going to be the only one to fall into a volcano. This sword is too. We're going to throw the sword into the volcano. Hopefully it doesn't hit Dad on the way down. That'd be pretty unfortunate. But if it lands next to him, I mean, maybe he can use it. But it kind of makes the volcano angry, and we get the explosion of Doritos. Nice, spicy nacho Doritos. Look at how red they are. Don't they look like the spiciest Doritos? I love spicy Doritos. But it creates this little path so we can walk across it. Wait for the music to load. I'm going to reorder our party. And tidy the sage's items. Clears up a little bit of the unequipped stuff in our inventory. And then, oops. Menu's a little bit different in English. Triple run fail. Fantastic. We couldn't run from sleeping troll. So we're on our way to the Necrogon. The encounters outside and inside are both a little bit dangerous. They're not likely to wipe you, most of them, but they can do quite a bit of damage, and they're not safe to just run away from. Okay, that's good. Oh, that expel hit both of them, wow. I've hit 3 out of 4 expels in those guys, it's only a 30%. I don't even normally bother casting it, honestly. So I do want to fight some stuff in this area for XP, but we get a weapon and some armor inside this cave, the Necrogond, and that will help us fight stuff more effectively. It's definitely an area of the game where there's, you know, a safety versus speed element and a what you're comfortable with element, so it's very valid to just fight everything you run into, to try to maximize the XP you get and to reduce your risk of, you know, wiping because you decided to run from a fight. But it's a little bit slower to fight everything than it is to run. So there's a balancing act. So we get a Thunder Sword, which we'll give to the hero, and some Blade Armor, which we'll give to our warrior. The Blade Armor will reflect physical damage, and the Thunder Sword is both strong and can be used as an item to cast. This fight is something. To cast, Bang? I think? This fight's really silly. I missed both statuses, so I was trying to expel the sword guy, which is a high chance, and it missed. And then also tried putting the troll to sleep, which missed the first time. But we'll heal up in combat rather than healing after combat. Take advantage of it. There are a bunch of enemies in here, and they all kind of have different stats and weaknesses and stuff like that, so I'm not going to explain every one I run into, but getting through here efficiently is, you know, somewhat complicated, and I'm definitely prone to both making mistakes or choosing the safe play when I should choose the fast play or whatever else. It's a pretty variable part of the run. One of the really cool parts of the run, honestly. This Necrogon segment's awesome. But I say it's awesome, you know, I've gotten through both the outside and the Necrogond itself with a total of like 1 encounter before. So sometimes it plays out in a way that it's very, very fast and you're not doing much, and other times you're getting an encounter every floor and you're really doing a lot of menuing. So unfortunately, fun isn't always fast. Item, sleep staff. What am I doing? Undersword. Again, getting used to the English menus is a little bit weird. Sleep is somewhat effective on these guys, but the combination of the Firebane and Thundersword will guarantee to kill them. I throw the sleep out there just because it, reduces the actions they take if it hits, which means that there's less healing I need to do and fewer animations I need to watch. Big level up for the hero there. Very nice. So, almost to the Necrogon, almost to the stairs out. Cool. So I should heal after this fight, but I'm actually not going to. Because normally in a PB attempt, I'd be jumping right to the next boss area. But frequently in a race or a no reset type run, I instead take an in. We'd have to use those wizard rings. So we get our silver orb here. It's one of those orbs that we need. We'd have to use our wizard ring in order to get some MP back if we wanted to jump right into the boss area. And it's got a chance of breaking, so because we have a limited amount, I like taking this in a no reset situation, just to not risk breaking my rings for something silly. But in a PB attempt, you just kind of lean on your rings most of the time. Unless you're really out of MP. We're going back to Japan. So you may have noticed this cave earlier. You might not have. But can hear the roaring in the background. So Japan is led by Himiko. And something strange has been going on with her lately. But we're gonna come into this cave to check it out. See what's going on. So we're going to cast Surround on Orochi 1 here. It missed, unfortunately. So it means next turn I'm going to actually have to turtle. A little bit. Do some increases to raise our defense. So, not really a huge deal, but... Oops, I didn't want another increase. I want a buy kill. Sorochi here can take either 1 or 2 actions. He can attack, physical attack, or he can do a breath. He can also fall asleep sometimes, which is nice when it happens, but it's only 30%, so it doesn't always happen. If he spams his breath attack, it really adds up. This is why I get some medical herbs, so I can help out. Those are the ones that I gave before boss troll. It's nice for helping out with healing here. But Orochi 1's down. It's a pretty easy fight, but if he takes a lot of actions and spams strong breath, then you can really get owned by that fight. But usually it's not too bad. And he drops a sword for good measure, which we'll give to our Mage Warrior, so she has a weapon that's not a club now. And Orochi is guarding this portal, and where could this go? Well, this goes back into Japan, and Himiko, the leader of Japan, is suddenly bleeding very badly. I wonder what Why? Oh, I'm the wrong person, that's why. I probably only wanted to use that once. That's fine. Use our wizard rings to get some MP back. And we say that we're not going to join her. Or we're not going to stay quiet. And then you find out that Himiko is actually Orochi. So Orochi 2, I think always takes 2 turns. Has slightly higher stats, but also has a weak breath thrown in, not just the strong breath. So, in some ways can be a little bit easier. And our Mage Warrior has a weapon now, so we can use the Mage Warrior to help with some attacking. And it's, again, you kind of hope for physical attacks because they're both quick and not overly strong. Especially since we spam up increase. So this fight's going pretty well. We're not getting a lot of breaths. This turn we might kill. If not, it'll be next turn. But I think this turn is it. Yep, there we go. So I don't count damage or anything in this game, but you do really get a feel for how much damage you've done versus how much HP enemies have. And sometimes you're wrong, but yeah. Anyway, so we do that cave last because we use the equipment from the Necrogon to help make that fight safer and faster. You could do it earlier, like in NES, and get the Orochi sword sooner, but it's faster in this version to do it this way. And we're rewarded with the purple orb. Now, for anyone keeping track, we got the red orb at the pirate hideout. We got the blue orb in Gaia's navel. We got the green orb in Tadanki. We got the silver orb from getting through the Necrogon. And we got the purple orb from Orochi. That's 5 out of the 6 we need. And we sort of visited all of the major places already, so there's a couple of places that we skipped. You know, we didn't do the cave with no annuals, and we missed there's a tower with an echo flute in it, which can help tell you where orbs are if they're nearby, but obviously we know where they are in the speedrun, so we don't need to get it. But other than that, we visited most of the major locations, so you know, this orb's a little bit trickier to find. So there's a plot of land over here with an old dude who wants to rebuild this land into a town, or wants to build a city on this land. But in order to do that, he needs a merchant to help kind of acquire resources. So at the beginning of the game, we created a merchant, and it's our boy Shadow Killer, SK. We're going to leave SK behind to help build up this town. And there's a few plot triggers that we need to talk to in here in order to advance the sequence. But basically, we can just advance this town to the end. There's multiple phases that this town goes through. And there are requirements like beating boss troll and stuff like that in order to advance this town. So it's not just like walk out and in if you come here normally. It kind of is based on the progress that you've made. But since we've done everything else, we can just kind of jump to the end of this sequence by exiting and re-entering the town a few times. And as we can see, our merchant's been really successful. Has built up the town. If you actually go into the throne room during the day, you can talk to the merchant, and there's a couple chests there with some items. But in the end, you come here at night, and you find these people plotting that basically your merchant's kind of become a little bit of a tyrant, and things need to change. So, yeah, once you do that, you come the next time and they've staged a coup d'etat, basically, overthrown your merchant. But in place, you find the yellow orb, which is the last one that we need for our quest. So now we need to go find the shrine to revive the ancient bird of Ramia, which will give us our airship that we need to get to the Archfiend Baramos. And that's this shrine up here. So we're going to do a little bit of inventory management here. We're going to tidy our items and sort our bag by type, which is going to make this a little bit easier to get all our orbs out, because now they'll all be in a row. You could also just like kind of manually fish them out of people's inventory. The Sage will have 3 of them, and the other 3 are usually pretty easy to dig out, but it's easier to just sort them. Darko is one who will fish everything out of their bags, but I don't think it's really like faster to do that. Maybe, you know, a second or something, but anyway, we placed all these orbs on the pedestals, and they all start to glow. And then their power infuses the egg. And then the Shrine Guardians give you the Scene of Awakening for Ramia. So this is the classic bathroom break of the run. In Maru's chart, the Google translated version of Maru's chart, it says it's toilet time. You had about a minute or so. I won't be taking it right now, but usually I need to. Usually by this point I've had enough water or whatever to drink that I need the break. In an actual marathon run, you know, an online marathon run, if I've got co-commentators, I would use this as a break time. But if I'm doing commentary by myself, I wouldn't. But anyway, so we've got Ramia now. We've awakened the legendary bird. You know, we've got Lugia, or is Ramia Hoa? I don't know. What does everyone else think? Which legendary bird would Ramia be if it were a Gen 2 Pokemon? So we'll use that agility seed that we had left over from earlier. Sometimes you have more they can drop during the grind, but give the Sage a little bit more agility. And we're going to collect a couple more items that we'll need. One of which we want for tackling Baramos and one which we want for later on in the game. But it's convenient to grab now. So we get a Dressel Leaf, which is a revival item. You can pick up as many as you want from that tile, but you can only carry one at a time. So if you use it, you can come back for another, but you can't just stock up on them. We hope to not need it, you know, especially during Baramos, but sometimes you do. And then we're coming here for the Orb of Light. I don't really remember where, like, you get hinted at about the Orb of Light and its purpose. It might not be until the Dark World, but this will be used to help defeat the final boss later. It's not used as one of the 6 orbs for Ramia. But the leaf we definitely want for Baramos. You can opt to get the light orb later. But we're going to come back to Eliahan. Grab our warrior back. And do a little bit of menuing here. So, I give the sleep staff over to the mage. And then, oops, this sleep staff goes to the warrior, and the mist staff goes back to the warrior. We're going to take a safety save. I agree, Articuno best bird. Where are we going? Isis. And we're going to go off to tackle the Archfiend Baramos. Well, in Pokemon Gen 1, it was overpowered because Blizzard was overpowered because Blizzard was a higher hit chance than Thunder or Fire Blast. But Articuno's also just, like, awesome, regardless of stats or anything. So yeah, Baramos Castle, the encounters here are all pretty scary, and we really want to be, like, as full HP and as high an MP as possible. If I have to do a bunch of healing, I will use a Prayer Ring before Baramos. Baramos is the most complex fight in this game. It's extremely difficult. Every now and then he'll just be really nice and not do anything, but I'll start explaining the fight now. He's basically on an 8-turn cycle, which is fixed. He always does the same thing in the same order. And some of those abilities are AoE abilities that do a ton of damage. So the goal is to generally do a lot of setup. We do a stop spell to stop him from casting his spells, which puts him on a 4-turn cycle. We try to put him to sleep as much as possible. Sorry, just doing this menu real quick. We want to buff up our defense with 4 increases or more. We want to hit him with Surround to reduce his chance to physically hit. We need to sap him to lower his defense. And we need By-Kill on at least the Warrior and Hero, and possibly also the Mage Warrior. So that's a lot of stuff to set up. Things can sort of happen in a varying order based on what turn in the cycle you're on and whether he's awake or asleep. But the general goal is stop spell and then sleep, surround and then sap. You can opt to cast speed up to give yourself a little bit more leeway also in terms of turn order. Sort of a little more optional. And then heal as you take damage with an emphasis on the hero who has your leaf. So a lot to keep track of, a lot of turn orders. I'm going to be fairly quiet during this fight while menuing and paying attention to the text of whether he sleeps or wakes up, so let's see what happens. Oops. This is that. We're going to cast Iron Eyes. That's going to waste 3 turns, which will get him past his first Flame Breath, which is his strongest attack. This one here. Okay. Blaze Most is next. So we will go for the sleep. Chaos Mist, good. He's not sleeping, that's not great. Both stop spells missed, which is also not great. But we can take one more turn. Need to Iron Eyes again. Disperse isn't scary, but Exploit is. This is scary because Blazemost will kill. Yep, just like that. Really need to hit something. I haven't hit a single status spell yet. Used our leaf. Okay, he's asleep now. There's something. We can start stacking our increases, and we can heal. Okay. Finally, we hit that. He's awake now. back to sleep. We're just going to keep putting him to sleep until this setup is done, so... We have all our increases that we need up. We can opt to do more later. But we can start doing buy kill now. Also surround. He's going to wake up this turn for sure, so I'm actually going to opt to do a full round of sleeps here. Good. We can start going in now. So Baramos has 2,500 HP. He regenerates 100 per turn. So once you start going in, you want to make sure you're able to commit to going in. He's awake again. Flame Breath is next, so... we're gonna defend on our last two characters. We should be close to the end. There we go. Baramos is down. So we did use our leaf. I'll need to remember that. The beginning of that fight was really rough. He didn't get hit by stop spell or sleep for quite a while. We had to use our leaf, but then he was pretty nice once we started getting the setup going. So, you know, this fight is a wild fight. It's different every time. It's got awesome music. And it's just really complex and really fun to learn. But it can be really frustrating sometimes. He can be a huge jerk. I've died to him a lot on my average split, so we're going to save 6 minutes compared to average on on that segment. Alright, let's catch up on chat here. 4x rock. Go meta. Who cares about Pokemon? Let's go meta. 4x back. Color of Articuno. Agreed. I like ice in general as a theme, so... And blue in general. Coolest Pokemon is the strongest one. Yep. It's what the show tries to teach you. You know, you gotta love your Pokemon and etc. Legendary shouldn't be allowed in competitive. Again, don't care about competitive, personally. Show taught you Pikachu is the strongest. That's not true. No, Pikachu gets his ass kicked. That's why Pikachu's never won the Pokemon League. Alright, so we did it. We defeated the Archfiend Baramos, right? That means we've won. The trumpets start to play, the fanfare comes in, and then the zap. And this is where the game reveals the true mastermind behind everything. Wahahaha! I am Zoma! Your suffering brings me joy. Alright, so we gotta do a little bit of menuing for the Dark World setup here. So give me just a moment to set up my inventory. Okay. And we're off to Isis, and then we will head off to the Dark World. So, normally when you're playing casual, you'll realize near Baramos' castle there's this other little island that's you can only get to through flying. over here. There's no mountains around it or anything, but you can't get a boat back here. It's landlocked. And there's a dude here, but there's not really anything going on here. But after defeating Baramos, the hole opens up in the world here, and you can kind of fall through and into the dark world. So this game acts as a prequel to Dragon Quest 1 and 2 to start the Roto series. And so you actually fall into the dark world, which is Alefgard. Oops, that's the wrong person. That's not Tiptoe. And so it actually rehashes the DQ1 music and kind of remixes everything. So DQ2 is this game's fault. I mean, in some ways. Orange League? The Orange League was great. I love the Orange Archipelago. All that stuff was really cool. I really wanted to see that in one of the games. Tracy was, like, okay as a character, but a lot of the, like, Archipelago leader, trainer people were really cool. Big fan. Alright, so we pick up the Stones of Sunlight. So like DQ1, we're going to need to form the Rainbow Drop, we're going to need the Stones of Sunlight, the Rubus's Token, the Mist Staff, or the Rain Staff, all the same stuff that you get in DQ1. This fight is kind of trash. That's unfortunate. Probably should have expelled them with the hero and tried to sleep the Goopies. Yeah, that's what I should have done. I completely misplayed this fight. Oh. That's what we got. Two people are paralyzed. That's... let's just try to run. Oh my god. 3 people are paralyzed. I'll remind you, you can get paralyzed wiped. Well... It's fine. We're alive. So Goopies will summon friends, and what they summon is dependent on how much space there is on the screen, and I should have dealt with them first. I misplayed that, honestly. But it's fine, I needed to go back for another leaf anyway. And so I kind of intentionally waited in case somebody died in the Dark World. And now somebody died, so once I get to Domdora, I'll just go get another leaf and use that to revive the hero. So we're stopping into this cave. This is optional, technically. There's a lot of money that's down here in the form of items. And the fastest times will skip this. It's called Kingsword Cut. So they won't get this money, and they won't get the Orichalcum and Domdora, which allows you to get the Kingsword. But the Kingsword, it doesn't take that long to get normally. I mean, it does if you screw up and die like me, but... typically the Kingsword takes about 3 minutes to get, maybe 3.5. And, it gives you a much stronger weapon. It gives you a much stronger weapon for bosses, physically, and also it gives you the ability to use it as an item for Boggy Cross. Whatever Boggy Cross is called in English. Arrowcross? Arrowcross, I think. Not to be confused with Heracross. Thanks, Pokemon. And so that's very useful for some Dark World encounters later, too. So the Kingsword's safer, and it's not that much slower. They didn't see me, I could just run, but... Really? But I would fight this in like a marathon kind of thing. It's pretty safe and usually quicker than that. Dark World encounters give really good XP, so... you know, we're back to the situation where running from stuff is generally faster in most cases, but... a lot of times it's, you know, the XP ends up being worth it. Your hit point levels at the end of the game are very important. I'm burning through MP. And so a little bit of extra XP potentially gets you another level, which could get you as much as like 20 HP on somebody. So, taking a couple extra fights isn't the worst idea in the world. Alright, so we're gonna go to Dharma, we're gonna revive our hero and then get another leaf. Which again, I needed to do anyway. Not that big of a deal, although there have been cases where I've used the leaf on Baramos and then forgotten to get it before Zoma. And then you kind of go in there with just without it. And then you're putting yourself at quite a bit more risk. Oops. I'm going to give this back to the hero just to kind of fix it. Oh, I need to use it. What am I doing? Forgive me. Use it on the hero. The second one will give to the hero. You can't use the item if you're dead, so giving the first one to the hero was silly. What? Anyway. Back to the Dark World. We're revived, we got our leaf. We're gonna head off to Myra, also known as Cole. Got some shopping to do there, like getting the King's Sword. We can take an inn. We need to get the Fairy Flute, which will be used for Rubus Tower. In order to get the token. So, the Dark World is pretty quick. It's kind of just a lot of, like, sail around and pick up all the MacGuffins. That encounter's unfortunate. See if we can not get owned by Granite Titan this time. Spoiler alert, we're gonna get owned by Granite Titan again. Goopy didn't fall asleep. Granite Titan didn't fall asleep. Whatever. We're out of MP, so I really hope I don't take much more damage until I get to Myra and can take an inn. Otherwise, the hero's going to be casting regular heal. I'm not going to use prayer rings for this segment, not when there's an inn coming up so soon. This fight is the worst. These guys can take up to 3 actions per turn, they can crit, they've got 1 billion HP. So the strat is generally try to put them to sleep and buff up your defense and then hope you can run away. You can fight them. The King's Sword works well on them if you're going to fight them, which we don't have yet. Or you can buy kill hero and attack them, but again, they've got 1 billion HP, so it's not really ideal to do that. It's like the worst overworld encounter you can get. Definitely the worst ocean encounter. Oh boy. Spell. Turboed through that. I meant to stop spell the Satan Poppies, or Wing Demons. Those guys can cast Blaze Most, which really hurts, it turns out. That's what I was looking to do. My menuing's getting a little bit sloppy here. But it's fine. Just Still making good progress, just really slow segment. Really slow. So we're going to sell the stuff that we got in that cave, the Sword of Destruction and the Devil's Armor, as well as the Orichalcum. Oops. And the Sage's Zombie Killer. So get us enough gold to buy all the stuff that we want. We get to do a little bit of shopping while we're here. So we're going to pick up the Sage's Staff, which is an item that we can use in combat with the Sage to cast Heal More for free, which is really nice, saves us some MP. The Water Flying Clothes, which is great armor for the Sage. And then the Blade Armor for the Mage Warrior. So we already have a set on the Pure Warrior from the Necrogond. Now we have a second set. The Blade Armor gives good defense, and really the damage from it can add up. I've had on the final boss fight Blade Armor do 900 to 1,000 damage on that fight, which is absurd. So the damage from it really is significant. And then we're going to go back upstairs to the guy that we sold the Orichalcum to. And he now has for sale the Sword of Kings, which will go to the hero. And we're going to trade around the hero's old weapons. Give it to the Thunder Sword to the Mage Warrior, and the Orochi Sword to the Sage. And we're going to leave town and go hit up Rubus Tower now that we have the Fairy Flute, as well as our gear. What happened to limitless supply in PQ2? I don't know. They forgot how to make them, probably. More Kragans is annoying, but it's fine. Alright, Rubus Tower. So, the encounters here can be a little bit scary. In particular, our friend the Snowface. You can show up in groups of 3, cast Mahiato on you, which is, I don't know, blizzard, snowstorm, snow something. I don't know the names of anything. In J, it's Mahiato. And that does a lot of AoE damage. But you can get through here with no encounters also. There's also, the top floor has a 6 liquid metal slime encounter that can show up. It's not super common, but can be good for XP if you manage to kill any. Liquid metal slimes are the big brother to the metal slimes we fought earlier. They give 10,000 XP for a kill. Well, 40,000 total divided among 4. And getting one of them, either in Rubus Tower or they do show up in the overworld, is really nice. It kind of gives you a little bit of safety and also a little bit of speed from the extra strength. But getting more than one, like, starts to kind of be a little bit slower. I would take it for safety. I wouldn't run from a second one, unless I was, you know, on like a really good PB pace or something. Wanted to push the time as much as possible. But hopefully we get one. If not, you know, you don't expect to get one, so it's not a big deal. But if we get the big 6x LMS fight up here, it'd be kind of cool. You don't always even get a fight on the floor. Oh, we got Snowface. Oops, that's not the right thing, because it worked out. That's not what I meant to do. Let's, toss them in the bag real quick. It's, again, just a case of... That's a lot of MP. Give the armor light to the hero. Use the fairy flute. It's another case of the English patch changes how some of the menus draw, especially the item menu in combat. So in SFC, it's like 3x2 or 2x3, I guess. 2 columns of 3 items per page. And in this, it's like 6 rows per page. So the menu, the directions you press to get to certain items are different. So I need to keep that in mind with my item setup. Anyway, you get the Rubus token. Oops, I don't want to use X-ray. Use outside. X-ray, the new strats. I do that a lot. I press up instead of down there. Oh, this fight's awful. Well. Spoiler alert, but we're not going to Zoma's castle yet. We're gonna go revive. Fight is so awful. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna go to Samanosa. I could use a leaf and then go get another one, which would be quicker for the revive, but if I do it this way, I can take an inn, which will just give a little bit of safety for not needing to worry about the not having to use as many prayer rings. Throat's getting really dry. Sorry. Alright, back to Dumdora. Try this again. Those Vile Shades, the red shades there, they're like one of the worst enemies in the overworld. They can cast single target instant kill, they can cast whole party instant kill, and they can use Sweet Breath, which puts your whole party to sleep. So typically if I see them, I just run. You know, that fight would have been a good one to use the Thunder Sword against, because it would have taken care of pretty much everything else, but I really don't like dealing with Vile Shade, so that's why I ran. And I wouldn't have killed the Vile Shades on turn 1, like if they were going to kill someone on turn 1, I was dead either way, so it didn't really make a difference in the long run. I'm getting kind of beat up by Dark World encounters a lot. You know, there was that one at the beginning that I mismenued, or misplayed, but in general this has just been both a lot of encounters and a lot of not good encounters. So, happens sometimes. Been a pretty slow segment. So we'll come in here, we'll get the Staff of Rain. They use the, you know, your name and your date of birth that you select at the beginning of the run for this dialogue. It's kind of cool. But basically you're the one they called for. So they give you the staff, which is the last thing we need for this rainbow drop here. So after this, you could opt to go to the town of Rimuldar, which will give you a closer return point to Zoma's castle if you die. And allow you to take like an inn or something if you wanted to, but it's slower to do that. So we're not going to. It's kind of like a beginner safety strat. So it's valid. It's just, especially since we just took the inn in Samanosa with that revival, it's that much less required. Long walk. Really long walk without encounters, wow. Only one fell asleep. That's rude. So, a lot of undead in DQ games are vulnerable to Expel, and the same kind of applies for these dudes. But they're actually more vulnerable to sleep than Expel. There's a yellowish version, Putragon, in Zoma's Castle that we'll probably run into. And they're more vulnerable to Expel, but the white ones outside are sleepier. Okay, decent HP level up for our warrior. My HP lines are all looking pretty good. Kind of depends on what the next couple levels I get in Zoma's Castle are, but HP lines are right on target for where we want to be. Kind of hope for like 280-ish on the Mage Warrior, 300 on the Warrior, 200-ish on the oh no, Blast Sword. Yeah, Fireball. That's right. It's like 200-ish on the Hero and Sage. It's kind of your goals. But, you know, there's a little bit of leeway in there. Like 190 on the Sage is usually okay. We do have some Life Seeds to use, and again, we will get a couple more levels. So, we'll probably hit those targets, or at least get really close. And any more HP you get, especially on your Pure Warrior, is very nice. Oh, this fight is awful. Menu? These salamanders have Baramos breath. They're very scary. That's why I didn't run. Fail to run from a couple times and could just get owned. They also give really good XP. This swamp area outside of Zoma's Castle was like the highest or one of the highest depletion areas in the game too, so you tend to run into a lot of encounters here. Get a little bit of MP back. Alright, well, we lost a few minutes in that section, but the English patch is generally slower. There's a lot of dialogue after beating Baramos, and in addition, we had a little bit of bad luck. With encounters and deaths. So we're entering the final dungeon now. This is Zoma's Castle. And we're going to have a lot of really strong random enemies to fight. So kind of knowing what to use, sleep and stop spell or whatever else to take care of them efficiently is really nice, really important. Deciding how much to heal versus when you're okay not being at full HP. This first floor has got a gauntlet of three sets of 2 Granite Titans that we'll need to get through. I'm actually going to heal up before then. These guys are pretty simple if they sleep, but if they don't go to sleep, they can crit you and kind of own you. Like everything else in this game. We're taking advantage of buy kill again, and this is also a good fight to grab some MP back with your wizard rings if you have them available. And if you need the MP. I should say if you have the turn available, not the ring. You really should have a ring on your Sage. 20 HP, nice, so we're at 292 for our Warrior, which is very good. Informs you that you don't have the key, but it's because you need to beat all these Titans. That's the key to the door. Good, they both went to sleep. Not the best turn order, but... RMP's in great shape. Should die this turn. Get a random encounter in the middle. These Balrogs here are one of the scariest enemies. They can cast instant kill on your entire party, but you've got a relatively decent chance of hitting them with stop spell, like that. But if you miss stop spell, then you're kind of just at their mercy of RNG. Really nice level up for Hero there. Good level up for Sage too. Everybody's HP is in really good shape. Very happy with this. Nothing's guaranteed, so like don't take that for granted. But giving yourself the most chance possible to get through the end game is relying on having the most HP you can get, so. 10 more. We got the... Oh yeah. We got the Thor sword. That's a very rare drop. Oh, so swag tiles. Hold on. That was slow. So you can hold up in that room and just kind of go through all of them. But, is Thor sword good? Yes. The Thor sword is not as good as the King sword, but it's better than everything except the King sword. And it casts Firebolt, which is the upgraded Firebane, basically, when used as an item. It's really nice on the Mage Warrior that I put it on, for Zoma. If you're going to attack when he's not sapped, it's better than a physical attack with the Demon Axe. And it can be useful on some of these random encounters, too. I mean, in general, no, it's not terribly useful. It's very, very good in a Kingsword cut route, though. It's unlucky. Because it's stronger than anything you have in the non-Kingsword route. Oh my god. Monton takes so long on English. But in general, it's also just like a stronger weapon for the Mage Warrior, so I equip it on the Mage Warrior so she does more damage with attacking. Yeah. Anyway, so you get to the bottom of Zoma's castle, and you run into this fight, where you see Ortega, your dad, who you thought was dead from falling in the volcano, fighting with the King Hydra here. And you kind of just stand by and watch. Let's see how Ortega decides to do against the King Hydra. This fight is RNG in the original NES and Famicom versions. Ortega can't win in those versions, but it's scripted in this. There's no RNG to it. Big ol' bowl of meat for the finale. Nice. Well, hopefully the finale is actually the finale and we don't have to do it all again. But anyway, you kind of sit by and watch Ortega deliver a message. If you happen to go to Eliahan someday, tell my child what's become of me. As you stand there watching... Stop spamming Blaze Most. I probably should have defended on the Mage Warrior there, just in case Sage got outsped. Enemies in here do a lot of damage and a lot of AoE damage, so needing to heal a bunch here is not uncommon at all. I need to actually throw this in the bag. Alright, so we get another leaf, so we've got 2 for the endgame. We get another wizard ring, and then we get the Sage's Stone, which is an item that casts effectively heal us in combat. I think it's a little bit less effective, but it heals for quite a bit. Heals the entire party. It's the only AoE healing in the game that we end up getting. So hopefully that's our last random encounter. And it is. Good. So we need to do a little menuing here. Oops. Need to give the Sage's Stone over to our Sage for this fight. Anybody can use the Sage's Stone, but we want it on the Sage specifically. Get a little more MP back. We broke a ring, but it's not a big deal. Let's actually give that ring over to you. And then we start with the boss rush, so we get 3 bosses in a row, and then we fight King Zoma. Or King Zoma, just Zoma. So we start with King Hydra, where the king was coming from. We start off with an increase. We try to put him to sleep. It's not really likely, but it's nice if you do. And then we try to sap him to lower his defense. If somebody gets double physicaled on turn 1, they can die. Otherwise, this fight's relatively safe. Oops. Is that like King Frogor? Yes, exactly. So, no sleep, but we survived turn 1, so we're fine here. Set up buy kill on everybody, and let's kind of go to town on this idiot. He keeps attacking the people in the back, which is not lucky, but Sage can keep up with all the healing, no problem. Say that. Don't double physical the warrior again, otherwise... Alright. The dodge, I thought I was gonna lose a turn because of that. Nice level up. Alright, so we're gonna tidy our bag up here. Kinda gets rid of a lot of the extra junk we have. We're gonna give the Sage's Staff... Oops, that's wrong. Trade that back. Sage's Staff for the stone. So we want the Sage's Stone to be on the warrior. And I got this earlier, so we may as well use it here. Got a spider web. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this on my own party member, on the warrior, to make sure that he goes last in combat. So the general concept behind this, the end game is that you want the warrior, well, on this fight and on Zoma, to go last, so that way the Sage's Stone, he'll be using it every turn, and you want it to happen after all this area of effect happens. So the spider web kind of, it sets the warrior's agility to 0, which gives you the biggest chance possible of not outspeeding the enemy, but the way turn order works in this, it is still possible to outspeed the enemy even though your agility is 0, because the game adds like 20 to your base agility when it's calculating turn order. So a 0 agility enemy can outspeed you and vice versa. Nothing is ever guaranteed. We're taking a lot of damage. Warrior's in kind of rough shape. He's probably dead this turn. And we're not. It's fine. It's fine. I wasn't scared, you were scared. Okay. Baramo Zombie. So this guy has 0 agility. Again, he can outspeed you because of turn order. He does a lot of physical attacks. If he double physical somebody, he can kill them on turn 1. But the general concept is to put 6 increases up to give yourself as much defense as possible. And then he's not too bad. This guy does also regenerate health, but it's not much. It's like 20 a turn. So we're all set up now, so now it's kind of just mash through. He can take 1 or 2 actions, so if he just takes 1 action like this, he's pretty free. In general, he's free once you're set up, but just kind of a matter of how much healing you need to do. Mage Warrior is going to town with this Thor Sword, though. Actually gonna use the Sage's Stone. Just hoping that there was a chance that we'd use the Sage's Stone before killing it. Alright, so... And just reduce a little bit of healing, but we didn't. So now we get to use our life seeds. Let's check everyone's HP here. Alright, I definitely need a couple on the Sage. Where are they? Life nut. I'd like to get the Sage to 200 if possible. So 194, 196, 200, 1 more for luck, 203. The rest are just going to go on our Pure Warrior. His HP is the one that's most important. Oops, Sailor Bone. Gonna max out our MP on our Mage and our Sage. Really, the Mage is the only one that really matters, but it's nice to have the most on the Sage if possible. More on the Sage if possible. Okay. Got our Leafs. We're good. Let's go. Zoma start. Normally I would trade the weapons around, but because of the Thor Sword, I don't even need to do that. Light Orb. Let's go. So the Light Orb turns... So Dark Zoma here has 4,500 HP and regenerates, and has very strong stats and immunities. Light Zoma, after using the Orb here, has 4,700 HP, so actually 200 more, but does not regen and has a little bit less power. So the general strategy for the fight is fairly simple most of the time, but Zoma is very strong and can just kill you, so I do need to focus a little bit here. Sage getting outsped is not a great way to start this. Yes. That is what happens if you outspeed Dark Zoma. He loses his, on turn 1, he loses his turn. Very nice when that happens, but not super common. So, Sage can lower Zoma's defense or increase your defense if you get a free turn where you don't need to heal with the Sage's staff. Zoma uses this freezing wave. This reduces, this gets rid of all like buffs and debuffs in the fight. both on you and on him. I don't know if it technically gets rid of debuffs on you. I mean, I assume it does, but he can't debuff you, so it doesn't matter unless you debuff yourself. So it kind of slows the fight down, but it's safe. It doesn't do damage or anything. This dude's being a little bit of a jerk right now. I'm gonna defend on the Sage this turn. Mahiato here is his weakest attack. It's still an AoE that hits everybody, but it's generally the best attack for him to do. Lots of freezing waves. Pretty slow. Look at all these waves. Getting freezing waves good. Sometimes. It's good in that you're not taking damage, but it's bad in that you know, my sap and my bi-kill are going away, so when you're at full HP, waves is bad, because you're losing turns that you could be, you're losing, like, damage on turns where you're in good shape. But if you're, like, if he does a bunch of Blizzard Breath in a row and people are really low hit points, then getting a breather turn with waves is really nice. So, it kind of just depends on the flow of the fight. I need to prayer ring on the mage soon. That was scary. Weird turn order. Freezing waves plus a physical can kill the hero from full. If you get a unlucky roll. You know what, hero, just defend. Let's just play this a little safe. We're in good shape, I mean, we're not really down anything. We've done a bunch of damage. Think about that turn for a second. Okay. You really, really, really don't want the warrior to go before Zoma, so turns like that where you see everybody, you see the Mage Warrior and the hero start acting before Zoma, you start to get really scared. But thankfully, turn order was still fine. We're moving through this fight okay. Like, it's not a fast fight, but it's still fine. Alright, Zoma's down. Actually, a little over 5 minutes? That was actually a really fast fight. With all those freezing waves, I expected that fight to take a full minute more than that. 6 minutes or so is like a pretty average Zoma fight. So yeah, I don't know. That was good. Never really did anything scary. Tiptoe wears off. Thanks for the GGs, everyone. So as mentioned before, this run is done JRTA, which means timing ends at the end of the credits. So we need to go back to Radatome, Tantegel, I guess, for the English DQ1 players. Talk to the king and then watch the credit sequence. It's somewhat traditional in the JRTA community to the DQ3J community to sing a song for the credits. It's in Japanese. I am not going to be doing that. So normally for a marathon type thing, I would offer that as... it's a good marathon incentive. And if it's really wanted, I could take that as a marathon incentive. I don't sing well. I don't think anybody wants to listen to me sing. But... I won't be singing for this run. My voice is kind of shot for the reason why I'd be iffy on doing this for a marathon if I'm going to be doing my own commentary, just because I'm having a hard enough time speaking right now. But anyway, yeah, like I said, this video here I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to use it as a submission for Questing for Glory. I'm going to put like a 3-hour, 40-minute time as an estimate to account for like, you know, a Pyramid Death and a Zoma Wipe or something like that. But obviously it can be much faster. Pretty happy with how this run went overall. The Dark World was pretty rude, but nothing else was really bad. Definitely the best time I've done on the English patch, but I don't play the English patch very much. It'll be a 318 or so, maybe a 319. So that's pretty cool. When do I recommend unequipping Heavy Metal Ring? So the way I handle accessories for Garuna Tower is I go into it with the hero having the Meteorite Armband, the thief having the hero ring, and the mage having the heavy metal ring. I don't change any accessories until the final key menu after class changing to a sage. In the final key menu, I give the Meteorite Armband from the hero to the mage. I actually trade it for the heavy metal ring, but then I give the heavy metal ring to the sage. So it stays on, the heavy metal ring stays on the mage. The first half of the grind, everybody keeps the same accessory. So the hero always has the Meteorite Armband, the mage always has the heavy metal ring, and the thief always has the hero ring. After that final key menu, I end up with the level 1 sage has the heavy metal ring, the hero has the hero ring, and then the sage has the Meteorite the mage. The mage has the Meteorite Armband. And then I don't change anything else during the second grind until after I leave the tower and class change. And when I wing to Baharata, I switch the heavy metal ring to the level 1 Mage Warrior, and then put the Meteorite Armband on the sage. And then I unequip the heavy metal ring from the Mage Warrior in the Elf Town menu. When I give the sleep staff from the sage to the Mage Warrior, I trade it for the heavy metal ring to kind of get the heavy metal ring out of there. I don't equip it or anything, it gets sorted to the bag later. That's kind of how I handle my accessories there. Note that I do that because I only take Iron Man or Tough Guy Mage. If you take Eager Mage, which you can choose to or not, then you should leave the heavy metal ring on the mage for the whole run. But I don't take Eager Mages. I know I've seen charts where people trade accessories around mid-grind, like after killing off the warrior or when the sage gets level 10 or whatever, but I don't do any of that. I keep it simple. It's easier to remember and it's easier to menu the simpler I keep it, so. I've got a highlight on my channel if you check the VODs. It's maybe half an hour long, 40 minutes, something like that. But I kind of go through all of my second half menus. Everything from the final key menu to the end, all the big menus, all the big trade shops, stuff like that. The way I do them, some of them are a little bit on the aggressive side. Like I don't do Assassin Dagger, for example, so I wouldn't recommend it for learning. But if you're looking for ideas of how I do things, I recommend checking that VOD. Because I kind of go through how I do all of it. I'm curious if this is a 318 or not. gonna be close. Looking over at Diener's screen, looks like he's about to do some DQ2 boss rush. Knowledge about personalities. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I keep my route pretty simple, so I'm always doing things the same way. I keep things really consistent, so that way it doesn't really matter. I like the knowledge of it because it's cool from like a technical routing standpoint, but I don't, 318.51, very nice. But yeah, I don't make decisions on the fly based on personality, except for use the book or not on the thief. The book from ISIS. If the thief is tough guy, I don't use the book. Anything else I do. And since I don't take Eager Mage, I do everything the same way. I don't vary things based on personality or levels or anything like that. I keep it as consistent as possible. Maybe that's not the best way to do it, but it works for me. But yeah, so let's I can't really compare these splits to anything, right? Like, this is an English time, comparing against SFC averages, so there's a lot of slowness from dialogue and menus. I think Tonic estimated about 10 minutes slower for English, so if this were on J, it would be about a 308, plus or minus a couple minutes. So I can't really talk about anything much. Magic Key, I stopped by Isis to revive before going to the Pyramid. I didn't have Ice Bolt for Kandar 1. Things were generally fine for Kandar 2 and Garuna. I think I had some janky encounters in Kandar 2, but nothing bad. The grind was good. 32 minutes. Like, I'll take that. Especially because it was like a third try buy kill. For a no reset run, that's good. Second try sap on boss troll. But I think I again had... No, maybe encounters were okay. I had a lot of encounters in the Necrogond area, so Sorochi 2 was a little slow. Baramos was fine. I had a lot of trouble landing status effects at first, but once the setup happened, it was okay. Dark World was very rude. Multiple deaths to Zaki/Zoraki. Zoma's castle itself went well, and the Zoma fight itself went. So, yeah, nothing to really complain about. If this were a marathon run, I would certainly take this, or a race. So, anyway, that's going to be it for me. Like I said, this will be probably a submission video for Questing for Glory. So, hopefully we'll see it in a couple months for that, but if not, that's fine too. I'm not going to feel terribly upset by it, but if I can contribute, I will. So, anyway, Diener's getting through the boss rush. He's about to start the final boss of DQ2, so I'm going to host him, go watch him finish up, and yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time.